On June 25, 2013, a document landed on a journalist's desk. It had just been declassified after an 8-year legal battle, and it contained an admission the American government had denied for nearly 6 decades. Yes, Area 51 exists. No aliens, no flying saucers, but something almost as unsettling. A government capable of lying to its own Congress, its own Supreme Court, and hundreds of millions of citizens for 60 years straight, without ever cracking. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to February 1955. A senior CIA official named Richard Bissell writes a check for $1.25 million and mails it to the home of Kelly Johnson, chief engineer at Lockheed. The money is meant to fund an aircraft that exists only on paper. A plane capable of flying above 60,000 feet, far beyond the reach of Soviet fighters and radar of the era. Codename: Aquatone. Real name: the U-2. The problem is, you cannot test a top-secret spy plane at a normal airbase. Too many eyes, too many leaks. Bissell needs a place where, quite literally, nobody is watching. In April 1955, he boards a small plane with Kelly Johnson and an Air Force colonel. They fly over the Nevada desert, and there, they spot a dry salt lake bed near an abandoned World War II gunnery range. Johnson later said, "We flew over it, and within 30 seconds, you knew that was the place." There's an almost comic detail buried in this story. To make this godforsaken stretch of desert sound appealing to the workers who would have to live there, Kelly Johnson gives it a name: Paradise Ranch. The ranch, for short. A radioactive patch of nowhere in the Nevada desert, rebranded as Paradise Ranch. That's the first lie in the history of Area 51. It will not be the last. By July 1955, CIA, Air Force, and Lockheed personnel start arriving on site. A 5,000-foot runway, 3 hangars, makeshift barracks. On August 1st of that same year, during a routine high-speed taxi test pilot Tony Levier accidentally lifts off the ground. The first unofficial flight of the U-2. Never planned, never scheduled. The most secret program of the entire Cold War begins with a piloting mistake. And that's where the real trouble starts. The U-2 flies above 60,000 feet. In 1955, commercial airliners topped out around 20,000 feet. Military aircraft barely reached 40,000. Nobody, absolutely nobody, had ever seen anything fly that high. Sightings occurred most often during early evening hours, when airline pilots flying west saw the U-2's silver wings reflect the setting sun, giving the aircraft a fiery appearance. Suspended at an altitude nothing should be able to reach. Subscribe to Beneath History. Hit the bell, because every week, we dig up the lies governments hoped would stay buried forever. The reports pour into Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official UFO investigation program. And here's the detail the CIA kept buried for decades, only revealed in 2013. The agency's own declassified files frankly admit that U-2 test flights were directly responsible for a massive wave of UFO reports. The government knew. It knew exactly why thousands of Americans believed they were seeing alien spacecraft over the Nevada sky. And it let the rumor grow. Because the truth, a spy plane capable of humiliating Soviet air defenses, was 1,000 times more dangerous to admit than a story about little green men. Meanwhile, the program only grows bigger. In 1959, Lockheed lands the contract for the A-12 Oxcart, the U-2 successor. The goal was to create a fast, high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft that could evade Soviet air defenses. The technical leap is enormous. New titanium fabrication techniques, new lubricants, new pilot life support systems had to be invented from scratch. Despite these challenges, the A-12 was declared fully operational in 1965, achieving a sustained speed of Mach 3.2 at 90,000 feet altitude. For context, a modern airliner cruises around 550 miles per hour. The A-12 was hitting over 2,200 miles per hour in 1965. But secrecy has a price. The more the program expands, the tighter the base has to be locked down. In 1962, the FAA expands the restricted airspace around Groom Lake to more than 600 square miles. Signs go up along the perimeter. Deadly force authorized against trespassers. Guards in camouflage fatigues patrol the border, later nicknamed the Camo Dudes by researchers and curious onlookers who try to get close. They never reveal who employs them. When asked where they work, the standard answer is simple: EG&G, at the test site, then decline to say anything more. In 2012, one account surfaced. A guard carrying an M16 reportedly told a film crew member they could make him disappear and his body would never be found. True or exaggerated, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that the line was believable. That's exactly the kind of effect 60 years of absolute silence can have on the public imagination. If this story is starting to hook you, a like would help the channel enormously. And tell us in the comments, do you think everything was really revealed in 2013? Or are there still secrets buried out there? And that silence, in fact, never broke from the inside. For decades, successive American presidents refused to even say the words Area 51 in public. The government went as far as refusing to confirm the location's existence in federal court, in lawsuits where former employees accused the base of illegally burning toxic materials. The case climbed all the way to the Supreme Court, and even there, facing the highest court in the country, the government chose silence over officially admitting what everyone already knew. It took until 2005 for a simple paperwork request to change everything. The National Security Archive, based at George Washington University, filed a Freedom of Information Act request for the full history of the U-2 program. The fight dragged on for 8 years. The document was written, reviewed, classified, partially redacted, and finally released on June 25, 2013. It became the first official CIA document to use the name Area 51 and confirm the location at Groom Lake, Nevada. 58 years of official denial, undone by a single piece of paperwork. What stands out, looking back, isn't that Area 51 hit a spy plane program instead of aliens. It's how easily an ordinary lie, "we're just testing an aircraft, nothing to see here," turned into a global myth simply because nobody was allowed to tell the truth. Silence always breeds a story, and when the state refuses to tell it, the public writes its own. In 2019, over 2 million people responded online to an event jokingly titled, "Storm Area 51, they can't stop all of us." Only about 150 people actually showed up at the gates. Nobody got in. But the sheer scale of the response proved something. Even after the official admission in 2013, the myth kept living a life of its own, almost independent of the facts. Today, Area 51 is still an active base, still classified, still off-limits to civilian aircraft. The Camo Dudes still patrol the perimeter. The secrecy never really ended. It just moved on to a new program. What actually changed in 2013 wasn't the American government's silence. It was simply the moment that silence finally got an official name. If this story surprised you, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Beneath History so you don't miss the next one. And if you found this worth watching, a like goes a long way.